May I come in, sir?
Yes, please do.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. Please take your seat.
Thank you, sir.
You're Mr. Pulkit Singh.
Yes, sir.
Pulkit, I think you can notice that your chair is at a very safe distance of around 12 feet from me.
Yes,
right?
sir.
And you are at a safe distance from anybody in this room.
Yes, sir.
This arrangement is to assure you that you are at a safe distance and you can safely remove your mask if you feel like.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Comfortable?
Yes, sir.
Can we start?
Yes, sir. Thank you,
Got
sir.
yourself vaccinated or not?
Sir, I have got myself vaccinated.
Both doses?
No, sir. Only one.
Only one. Which vaccine?
Sir, Covaxin.
Covaxin. Okay. So when will be the next dose of Covaxin due?
Sir, I was told for a duration of 90 days. So I had taken it 20 days ago. So after that, I will be having the next dose.
So now even the Covaxin asks for 90 days. Earlier, only the Covishield used to ask for 90 days.
Sir, for me, they had suggested me that you can come after 90 days also.
Okay. Fine, Pulkit. Then let us start. Tell us something about you.
Sir, talking about myself, about my roots, I come from a family of farmers and army jawans. Sir, initial education was from village primary school. Then I did my higher education from army public schools. Then I did a integrated dual degree in mechanical engineering from Banaras Hindu University. Sir, professionally I had worked in DRDO, and in last 3 years I am working in the education technology sector. Sir, I have keen interest in cricket, and lately I developed interest in whiteboard animation videos and agroforestry.
Okay. So that's a very diverse personality. And diverse personalities are definitely very attractive. But the only problem with diverse personalities are they lack focus. Where do you actually want to go? I mean, it's all staggered. Sometimes it appears you want to become a scientist. On the other hand, it appears you want to be an educator. Then it appears that you want to be an engineer. And then you are suddenly here to become a civil servant. What exactly is your life goal?
So from my lifetime till now, first time I could think about my life was during my graduation days in college. So when I came across the various news readings and from my own readings, I understood that civil services will be a career which will be giving me good exposure and an opportunity to have more impact. But sir, simultaneously I was flexible enough also that the opportunities that came my way, I tried to excel in those also. And from there only I got my job in DRDO. And sir, thereafter I left my job and I was preparing for civil services. But I had spent around 1 to 2 years in the preparation. But sir, again then I thought about joining the workforce, and I decided about taking this job so that I can manage my studies as well as somehow I will be also part of the workforce.
So why you joined DRDO? What were your responsibilities there?
Sir, in DRDO I was recruited at the post of Scientist B. Sir, I had initially gone a 6-month induction training period, and thereafter I was working in the Gas Turbine Research Establishment Laboratory, and I had worked on a project on cooling of the turbine blade.
Right. So that sounds very close to your expertise when it comes to your stay at IIT BHU, BTech MTech degree combined.
Yes, sir.
So why you did not continue with the DRDO? Was it the salary was too less?
No, sir, it was not because of salary. I had initially joined DRDO after my graduation from the job opportunities that I was having. So just to gain exposure into the working of a government department, and I always had thing in mind that I wanted to appear for civil services, and there I realized that I was not able to manage my preparation with the responsibilities that I would have had as a scientist. So hence I decided that I will go for a full focused attempt, but unfortunately I could not make it in the first and the second attempt. Then again I have to appear it, sir.
Anyways, you are coming basically from Chandigarh, right? Chandigarh is your home state.
Sir, yes, sir.
You have claimed Chandigarh to be your home state.
Yes, sir.
I hope you studied Chandigarh well.
Yes, sir.
Tell me, Chandigarh is a union territory. So is Delhi and say Pondicherry. Can you just compare these 3 union territories and tell me what exactly is the difference when it comes to they being union territory?
Thank you, sir. Sir,
can you just add Kashmir also to it?
Sir, union territories we had created about certain situations. It could be strategic scenarios around that particular territory, or it could be because of other historical regions. Now, so if we compare the first three in this regard, sir, Delhi is a union territory because it is also a seat of the union government. Hence, it becomes a special area in that regard. Then, sir, Chandigarh, because of the issue that we had between the tussle between Punjab and Haryana and the fact that it was a planned city. So it gave a distinguished aspect to Chandigarh. And then, sir, if we talk about Pondicherry, we had created as a union territory.
But you're not comparing polity of these. I said compared polity of these.
Sir, comparing about the polity, I would feel that Delhi has taken significant steps in terms of giving them democratic means also. So has done the Pondicherry. Hence, they had created a legislative assembly apart from that fact that they are somehow under the rule of the president. But, sir, Chandigarh, because of its size, has not yet had a political representation in that regard.
So what you're trying to say, and how about the Kashmir?
Sir, now Kashmir, we have created 2 union territories because of the special circumstances that have taken place about after the abrogation of Article 370. And sir, in that regard, the government has a wisdom that it will be better that for some time.
But do you mean, are you trying to say that Puducherry and Delhi are identical in terms of polity, or they are different?
Sir, they are quite different.
So you just told me that both of them have legislative assembly, but what is the difference?
Sir, difference is, if you talk about the differences, I could think about some of the factors. Sir, first will be about their historical legacy. Pondicherry has significant French influence, and that is also reflected there. Then, sir, secondly, if we talk about the structure of the polity there, sir, Delhi being a union territory, its polity is more focused vis-a-vis the Pondicherry's polity in this regard. Then, sir, third aspect is Pondicherry's local polity is also influenced by the Tamilian culture and the other aspects taking place in the vicinity. Sir, whereas if we talk about Delhi, it's quite distinct. If we talk about the polity in the states around, it has a quite distinct political culture vis-a-vis the states around it.
Fine. Thank you, Pulkit.
Thank you, sir.
So, gentlemen, direct question from your DRDO. Look, DRDO has launched what a very important missile successfully from Chandipur, Odisha. And that missile is a cruise missile. We call it a Nirbhay missile. And this missile is what 1000 to 1015 kilometer range with 300 kg warhead, and it can fly in between 50 meter to 4 kilometer. My first very question is what, look, this is 2-stage cruise missile. First stage is solid propellant and the second stage is liquid propellant. So being a part of DRDO, first you tell me what is the chemical composition of solid propellant and what is the chemical composition of liquid propellant in both of the stages. Yes, please.
Thank you, sir, for the elaborate description around the Nirbhaya missile. Sir, I cannot think about the specific propellants that we are using in Nirbhaya. But, sir, if we talk about solid propellants, it could be like we use certain nitrates in this regard.
Yes.
And, sir, if we talk about liquid propellants, we use, I think, I cannot recall regarding specifically.
First is correct. The second, liquid propellant. What is the basic? You can make a guess.
Sorry, sir. Right now, I'm not able to.
Certainly not. This is cryogenic stage.
Yes, sir.
Okay. My next technical question related to this. Look, 50 meter toward 4 kilometer. So 50 meter is very low. Why such type of altitude has been given to cruise missile? Look, this have 2 versions. One is Navy version, second is Air Force version. So why 50 meter only? What altitude has given to such actually cruise missile? What is the technicality behind this?
Sir, flying at a low altitude gives the advantage of we are able to somehow, we will not be detected.
Yes,
and we can penetrate the surveillance of the enemy state.
Good. Got my answer. Look, your actually hobby is very important. That is called agroforestry.
Yes, sir.
And in agroforestry, we use agroforestry design tools. That is called ADT, agroforestry design tools. And you have to read in mechanical engineering tools technology, right? So this is the latest technology we are using in agroforestry design tools, ADT. Look, this is quite capable to allow you to select a species. And the second, creating a geometric planting layout. My question, again the technical, how ADT allow individual in agroforestry to select species and create a geometric planting pattern or layout? How?
Sir, I have not read about it specifically, but I can give my analysis around it, that what could be the principles around it.
Yes.
Sir, I believe in this there could be principles about the geometry in which the plantation should be undertaken.
Yes.
They could tell about the metrics that will be most appropriate for a different plant.
Good.
The distance between the two species.
Third.
Then, sir, it can also tell us about the...
That is a layout. How we select a species?
Thank you, sir. Sir, for species, we can look from the aspect of environment, like whether those two species are not having an adverse impact on each other. Like, sir, if I can think of an example, like popular tree species and maize species are not grown together because the nematodes have a big challenge in this regard.
Yes, now sir, technical word. Yes, got my point. My next question that is related to turbine. You were working in turbine, I think.
Yes,
so
sir.
the two very important principles there of thermodynamics, first law and second law.
Yes, sir.
How you use first law or second law to minimize accident in turbine? Look, particularly I would like to gas turbine. How you use these two actually principles, thermodynamic, so that you minimize the accident or maximize the production? How? First law and second law.
Thank you, sir. So from the first law, it states that the more energy we burn, that is, the more heat supply we give, it's more likely the more work output we'll be getting. And by using the second law, if we minimize the randomness or the entropy generation in the process, we will be getting more production also, because that will reduce the irreversibilities associated with the process.
Thank you, gentlemen. Good. Nice.
Thank you, sir.
Hello, Pulkit. How are you?
Good afternoon, sir. Sir, I'm very honored to be part of this esteemed board. Thank you, sir.
Great. Pulkit, why Indian agriculture have very low mechanization rather than the developed country? Since you are a mechanical engineer student and having the background of agriculture, I think it's a better question for you.
Thank you, sir. I find because of the features that we have around agriculture in our country, first fact I can think right now is that about 85% of our farmers are small and marginal farmers. That is, they have a land, they own a land less than around 2 hectares. So it becomes, at times become very difficult for them to go for mechanization for such a small piece of land. Then, sir, second could be the challenge in terms of lack of customer hiring centers in this regard. We could have resolved this problem if government could have made them effective, but unfortunately we could not see them very popular among the farmers. And thirdly, I could also see that with mechanization, although it increased productivity, but it also leads to higher input cost at the input side.
Very good, Pulkit. Coming to that custom hiring centers, since you are coming from Haryana, and Haryana government is doing a lot in custom hiring center.
Yes, sir.
What is it? How does it work?
Sir, one example I can think right is about the cleaning machines that they are providing for farmers who are cultivating carrots. So in this, the farmer can hire it for some day, then he will take the services of the machine and he will return back. So in this, he will not be spending on the capital acquisition, only on the operating part, and thereby he will be spending significant amount, and even the government can also use it more productively by giving it to multiple farmers turn by turn.
Very good. Okay, Pulkit, have you gone through the monetary policy which was announced just by the RBI?
Yes, sir.
Why RBI has taken the accommodative stance since last 6 months? So we, on the other hand, we need to increase the demand in the market. So liquidity is required. So what is the need to take the accommodative stance over there?
Sir, right now the RBI is facing the conundrum of growth as well as the rising inflation. So as a result of which, it is in a situation whereby if it goes for the growth aspect, that is pumping the money, it might lead to increase in inflation. So because of this, it has decided that we will be having a kind of certainty around it, and it has said that we will be having a kind of
very impressive. Pulkit, do you have any interest in the stock market?
Sir, I have not traded myself, but I do keep a watch around them.
So at present days, we are seeing that the stock market have bullish in nature. What are the 3 global factors responsible for it?
Sir, first factor I can identify will be the sentiment that they have about the Indian economy. It reveals the potential positivity among the investors.
Good.
Then, sir, second will be about the differential rate of interest that they can earn in the country vis-a-vis, say, the Fed rate. It's quite low. So they go for investment into our country so that they can have better rate of return. And sir, third factor I can identify could be about the kind of uncertainty that we are having around China. So investors are preferring to take out their investments out of China and look for other developing nations because of the uncertainty at the global level they are facing.
Pulkit, if I'd like to invest in the stock market, will you suggest me to invest now?
Sir, right now, although it's very uncertain, but we can go for investing in certain sectors which we feel that in coming years will be doing quite good.
Which sector?
Sir, one could be the education technology sector. It's quite booming in recent years.
Impressive.
Sir, then second, even certain firms like Burger King and these are coming with their IPOs. So that is a sector which is evergreen if we talk from the aspect. This is something based on consumption.
So this time would you feel safe to invest in IPO?
Sir, I think talking about stock market, it plays on risks. Risks will be always there. And although there are sentiments that it could be a bubble also around it, but I feel one should definitely go if he has the capital to invest.
Very good. Thank you so much. Pulkit.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, please, sir.
Pulkit, you are a mechanical engineer. So, what are self-driving cars, and which country has become the first one recently to start regulating self-driving cars?
Sir, the self-driving cars are based on the philosophy that we will not be requiring a driver to be present on the driving wheel, and it can itself, using certain technologies like sensor-based technology, it can drive the vehicle. And so about second part, sir, I cannot recall right now.
Okay.
Which country?
And if you have to program a self-driving car and you have to look after the safety of the passenger and the safety of pedestrian, and only one of the two is possible, that either you can save the passenger in or the pedestrian in the event of a collision. So how you will program the car? Whose safety will be priority for you?
Sir, in this regard, coming to that, I think pedestrian safety will be more priority because if an accident happens and pedestrian's life is at stake, I think that will lead to significant sentiment against the self-driving car. So that could be one of the reasons that why I'll be prioritizing the life of a pedestrian vis-a-vis if ever I come across this conundrum. Otherwise, I'll take steps so that both the lives could be saved.
Right, Pulkit. And what is the controversy surrounding this corporatization of ordnance factory boards? What is the issue?
Sir, government is seeing from the aspect of bringing reforms in the ordnance factory, but the employers are having a sentiment that it could be a step further towards gradual privatization of the ordnance factories.
Why government jobs are so much sought after? Private sector pays definitely better than the government, especially at higher levels. But still people are very keen on government jobs. And the public perception is that it is only because there is less accountability and more freedom.
Sir, I believe it also depends upon the government job that we are talking in this aspect. Like if we talk about certain jobs, they give you better exposure in terms and an opportunity to create more impact. Then sir, secondly, I believe all government jobs definitely give a more certainty and job security vis-a-vis a private sector job. And sir, third factor I can identify is that a social factor is also responsible, whereby socially we see a person working in government quite differently vis-a-vis someone who is maybe even earning more than him, but the society sees
social prestige is
yes,
involved,
so that
right?
is also one of the reasons.
Fine. Recently, we have seen that there have been like a lot of protest in parliament also, and there was also a case in which that case was relating to Kerala Assembly basically, where the MLAs, they had protested very violently, and then the case was being taken back by the government, but then the court intervened that it cannot do so. So what do you think, why the level of discussion and debates that should be in a legislative assembly or parliament, it is going down and violent protest is becoming the norm?
Sir, I think one reason could be that it brings more popularity around it. Like if some ruckus is created, it brings people into the focus. So that could be one reason that some of the parliamentarians might be seeing as a tool so that they have more reach around it. Then sir, second, one reason could also be thought about that at times the opposition parties do not get opportunity to put forward their demands in this regard. Like one good practice we can adopt here is like that we are having in the UK's parliament. whereby they give around 10 days to the opposition party to work about the working or the business rule that has to be conducted.
Okay, fine. My final question to you, what do you think, which is more needed in India right now, judicial activism or judicial restraint?
Sir, I believe it has to be combination of both.
But still, like considering present situation, if you have to decide between the two, then?
Sir, for me it's very difficult to pick one because they both are relevant, because judicial activism does help in taking forward the socio-economic aspect of the state, while at the same time restraint is also important from the aspect of separation of power.
Thank you.
Pulkit,
Good afternoon, sir.
as you're aware, on the international arena, especially the United Nations, India has taken up the role of the presidency at the United Nations Security Council. Are you aware of the...
Yes, sir.
Yes, and
Yes.
I'm sure you have even heard the Prime Minister's speech on the agenda for
Yes.
this month.
Yes.
Can you elaborate or give me at least a few brief points
Sir,
on
the
what are the
biggest
agendas being
agenda
set?
that we had right now was around the maritime security,
That's one.
which many experts believe is a subtle stance taken by India against China's belligerent activities in the South China Sea.
Next, any other that you could think of?
Sir, apart from this, we are also thinking about various issues like the human rights issues in the West Asia, to maybe talk about it later on.
Is it there for this month as part of the agenda? Are you
I'm
aware
not
of
sure,
it?
but I read that this could be one of the possible thing in which they can think about.
Okay. Pulkit, tell me now, India has been, on a continuous term, we've been a member of the non-permanent, as a non-permanent member of the Security Council. I'm of the opinion that these are basic carrots, issued by permanent members of the Security Council to keep peace and to make non-permanent members happy. What is the point of India being associated as a non-permanent member of the Security Council? What benefits do you think are we receiving from it?
So definitely that could be one interpretation, that they are carrots given to us. But I believe at the same time, it is an elaborate process whereby we contest it on the Asia's seat that we are having. And then we come forward and we are elected for it as such. And sir, at the same time, I believe the benefits around it could be, although we are not having the veto power in this regard, but at the same time, we can bring to notice certain issues, like the recent issue that we had bring into focus, the maritime security issue. And in fact, it was the first time that it has been taken up as an issue in the assembly. So it all depends at how we are going about our opportunities and how we are going about the opportunities that are given to us.
Okay, Pulkit, do you truly believe that India is in a position to be a permanent member of the Security Council?
Yes, sir.
And any reasons to support your answer?
Sir, there are multiple reasons
Yes,
around
please,
it.
just a few.
Sir, biggest reason is that even if you go by democratic principles, you are taking about 1/6 of the world population out of the most important issues around.
Okay, next.
it.
Yes, please.
Then, sir, secondly, I believe India's precedence in the aspects of maintaining peace and international harmony,
Okay, good.
right from the Korean crisis to the recent contribution in the youth through peacekeeping forces.
Any other?
Then, sir, thirdly, even if we take from the aspect of the rise in the economic power, if we look at the permanent 5 members, they are basically the economic powerhouses. And in recent years, we are third in terms of PPP as an economic powerhouse.
Okay.
And fourthly, sir, as a regional leader also, we are like among South Asia, if we see, it is a country which can have a significant effect around it.
Okay.
And in recent years, specifically after the importance of the Indo-Pacific region, it becomes more imperative that India should be given a membership. As a
So I've
permanent.
also noticed in your draft that you've mentioned DRDO as a scientist. You've
Yes,
been
sir.
there. So consider myself to be a layman. Can you explain to me more about the Iron Dome rockets and what is it about?
Sir, the Iron Dome rockets, we talk about the system that we are having in Israel as
Okay.
an anti-missile defense system.
Mhm.
So in this, what happens if a missile is targeted towards a certain target, it more or less flies in a projectile motion. So if we can know about the coordinates on which it is flying, we can guess about its flight, and we can go for its interception by using our own missiles, so that it will be having a point of intersection with the other missile, and it explodes with the other missile before it lands on the ground, so that we are having less adverse effect of it.
Okay, thank you, Pulkit.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Pulkit, you mentioned that you like, you are an educator and you like this whiteboard explain videos, which is basically animation videos, right?
Yes, sir.
So since you're a part of this education technology thing, and whiteboard is your buzzword, but I would like to take you to the blackboard thing. Tell me what exactly the Operation Blackboard was?
Sir, under this, the government had planned to extend the basic infrastructure facility, that is a blackboard, across the schools, particularly the government primary schools in the hinterland.
So when was it started and who started it?
Sorry, sir, I'm not able to recall the history around it.
No problem. You, since you are an educator and you are talking about the whiteboard explainer kind of electronic educational technology thing, do you believe that in a country like ours, where the digital divide is really glaring, these new facilities, these new innovations actually widens the gap rather than reducing it? Because those who are already in that category, which have access to a lot of other non-innovative and non-technological resources, only they actually get the benefits of these new technology, at least in the first place. So is it bridging the gap, or it is actually widening the gap?
Sir, in the short term, it will definitely widen the gap. But if we talk about the long term, one good technological innovation I can quote as an example is the evolution of the mobile technology. If we talk about 90s or the first decade of the century, that was a time where only few were able to afford it. But over a period of time, due to the innovation happening in the industry, now it's almost omnipresent that all of us are able to afford it. So I think in the long run, this digital divide will be also filled up, and we can definitely go for exploiting the benefits that it might offer to us.
Okay, that leads to other similar things. You mentioned the smartphone thing. It has transformed the economy to a gig economy aspect also. And in the recent pandemic, we saw that gig economy workers were on the receiving end. They actually suffered miserably because they had no social security. Again, the same issue that on the one hand, there are people who will be benefited because of it. The gig economy workers will be serving them. Even in the pandemic, they'll get things at home. But at the same time, these workers are left to fend for themselves with absolutely no security cover, very little social security. Do you believe that, again, we are widening the gap?
Sir, again in this regard, I believe right now it is very difficult for us to regulate this sector, because as such gig economy is working on a voluntary basis and they go around it, and hence right now it's very difficult to government to have a regulation around it. But sir, in the recent labor courts, they have talked about that subsequently gig economy will be also regulated, and if we can have, sir, labor laws around it also, so we can definitely think about it also a very good model around it, because there are various benefits also if we talk about the gig economy, and definitely the social security aspect could also be included in some form of the manner in the presenting scenario also, sir.
You were part of this event coordination thing?
Yes, sir.
I'm sure you're in position to actually think what is required to conduct a particular event. Obviously, you have to plan it and you have to think it beforehand. Just tell me, if this is an event organizing an interview for a candidate by 5-member board, what are the things that has went in planning?
Sir, in planning specifically will be about, I will look at the financial aspect, that how much I have the funds and then how much I can afford to spend.
Right.
Then sir, secondly will be the technological feasibility around it, that what kind of technologies I can use. Then sir, if depending on the project's nature, I will also be doing a socio-economic feasibility analysis around it. And again, depending upon the nature of the project, an economical impact assessment should also be undertaken at the planning stage, so that it does not have adverse impact later on. So sir, these will be, and then definitely if it is from the aspect of project is from the aspect of say I have to later on take this product in the market, so I'll be also seeking its market feasibility also in the long run. So these will be some areas around which I will be planning around my event.
Fine, Pulkit. It was nice talking to you. Your interview is over. You can go now.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. May I come in, sir?
Yes, please do. Pulkit, can you just stand up? You're going to wear the same suit or you have some
no,
other
sir,
option?
I'll change it, sir.
You'll change it. Sit down.
Thank you, sir.
You'll be changing the entire dress or just the suit, just the coat?
Sir, suit. I'll change the entire suit as such.
Okay. So I'm not commenting on it. You realize that you are a wonderful candidate, but you were not looking wonderful in this particular dress, right?
Okay, sir. Thank you,
So
sir.
that is one thing you have to be careful about, right? Tell me, it's going to be your first interview at the UPSC?
No, sir, third interview.
And what was your scores earlier?
Sir, 171 and 175.
171, 175.
And that was, sir, 2 years ago.
2 years ago. And you missed by how many marks?
Sir, 5 marks and 6 marks.
5 and 6 marks.
Yes,
You've
sir.
been on the edge for twice.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Must be tough, right? So tell me, how was your interview today? Since you know how the process is, you know what they'll be looking for, and what are the areas you still need to improve?
Sir, I think one area I felt good about is that I could slow down the interview. I was not speaking in a hurry. That was one area I identified that it was good. And certainly there will be some areas which I'll be thinking about later on that I can improve upon. This was one area which I definitely wanted to work upon.
And you could?
Yes, sir.
Okay. See, Pulkit, honestly speaking, I don't have a list of things to tell you because most things you are already doing right? You are a good candidate. You've been through the process. You understand how well you are and also what are your areas of strength and weakness. In terms of content, there isn't much where you have to change. You are in general doing things right. I have a few suggestions, not really in ways of any kind of a criticism, but maybe since we noticed, so I'll be pointing out. But in general, how is your mains this time?
Sir, definitely good.
Better
Earlier
than
I
last
suffered
time?
on my mechanical engineering.
Right.
My optional is also mechanical engineering.
I know that.
So I could not balance out my preparation for both general studies and mechanical engineering. But I had taken a gap of 1 year. 2019 attempt I had not given. So hopefully it was good, but right now
obviously it's a very dicey examination, but in general you believe that it will be better than last time.
I have a better feeling vis-a-vis the earlier two attempts.
So Pulkit, in my opinion, I mean, we actually couldn't understand that why you are not already there. You are a very, very good candidate. In general, your preparation is good. In almost all the areas we discussed, you were as you said, you were cool-headed. You're not rushing to the concept, or you were not rushing about your communication. You were well settled, cool-headedly having a discussion, and that's why the impact was definitely good. Also, there were not many areas where we felt that you're not gauging the kind of depth required. You are able to adequately guess or gaze that how much depth is required in a particular topic that's being discussed, and that's why you're able to serve just the quantity that the board member is asking for, and which is a rare personality trait which we have witnessed. On almost all 5 members, you were able to serve exactly the amount of information and knowledge and answer part which is required. So absolutely no suggestion on that. Our suggestion were, in fact, what you should be doing in the next whatever 10-15 days you have, is that you should focus more on your persona part. That sometimes appears that you are unnecessarily having that a little, not exactly old age, but a senior kind of a look on your face, which is not necessarily required, right? You should appear a little bit more energetic, appear more smart in the sense of your dress and all, as we discussed that you will be having a new suit or that thing. That is area you can focus on. On the content front, you don't have to worry much on. Yes, there are few suggestions. One was which was deliberate on your part, but sometimes their board members may find it a little irritating. That is passing on the compliments to individual board members. Be very careful. It can be double-edged sword. It can be board members may feel it good about it, but there can be a couple of board members who may find not like exactly irritating, but a kind of an irritant. For example, stopping a good organic conversation that is about to happen. So you can think over it. You can do it a couple of times, but not always. And you have to be very careful that it shouldn't appear as if you're trying to buttress as if it is some kind of a sycophancy. It shouldn't appear that way, right? Otherwise, in general, other things are in good thing. I like the kind of balance you had, and also the your own domain knowledge which was being discussed. So nothing on the content front. These small suggestion. There was a little hand movement you must have noticed, and also that's clasping of hand at a couple of places. So these are the areas where you can work on. Other things are already there, right?
Thank you.
I'm sure you'll do a lot better than 175 this time, and also I'm hoping that you have done, as you said, better in mains also. So you should sail through definitely.
Yes.
Right? All the best.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.